Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of AXIOM TV and another installment in the series of Say Word, where we seek to expand the mind via vocabulary. I'm your recovering idiot for a host, Jason V. Sarib, also known as Brave Mind, King of the North, as well as the Antichrist. Today's reason that you want to continue to expand your mind is that what I notice about a lot of the words that I use, they were over my head. Now that I'm learning their definitions, I realize how much professional people were speaking over my head whenever I'd watch the news or philosophy videos or important things that dealt with more than my immediate world. Whenever I watched any broadcast that dealt with things that were outside of my immediate vicinity of thinking, I realize now how much they were speaking over my head. So you want to expand your vocabulary and expand your mind, not only for that, but there's an urban myth that we human beings do not use the full capacity of our brains. And I think they even put a number to it. I think they said we use only about 10% or so of our brain power. Well, not only is that an urban myth, I'm also here to assert that for the most part, if there is a capacity that we do not use, at this point it's voluntary, because this isn't like in the days of slavery or in the days of serfdom where people just didn't have access to knowledge. We are currently residing in the information age, where knowledge is prevalent and free. And so if you decide not to take advantage of this beautiful mind that nature has bestowed and endowed you with, and you're only using it to be concerned with commonly used language or with only your immediate concerns in life, then you are voluntarily stunting your own growth. Remember, when you started out as a child, you developed physically until you were adult. But our minds never stop developing. They're always set to learn. So clearly, this suggests or infers that we're also supposed to be growing in our minds as well, in intellect, not just physically. Or nature wouldn't have given us minds with the capacity and the capability that we have. And those are my reasons for today. I don't want to get too preachy this morning. So let's get right into our drum roll, please. Oh, that's right. No drum roll. We're too under budget for drum rolls. All right, then. Let's get right into this week's language of power, our 10 words. In fact, today I decided to add a bonus 11th word. Oh, I wanted to go outside with it. I wanted to do this video outside today, but it's drizzling outside, and my laptop's not waterproof. Okay, let's go with our first word. Our first word today is presage. Presage. That's Presage. Looks like it should say presage or presage or presage, pardon me. But it's pronounced presage. And the definition of presage is a sign or warning that something typically bad will happen. Again, presage, a sign or warning that something typically bad will happen. Our next word following presage is besmirch. Besmirch. This is an old school word that you don't hear much today, but I like it, and it's in the English language. And they always say immigrants need to learn the language, so that's what I like to I like to follow that advice, because I never want to be ignorant, because knowledge gives you an advantage, and those without knowledge are inherently at a disadvantage, or logically at a tactical disadvantage. Remember, life is competition, especially in this system of capitalism. It's competition, so you need tactical advantages, and having a strong vocabulary is one of those tactical advantages. Now, on to besmirch. To damage the reputation of someone or something in the opinion of others. To sully. Besmirch. To damage the reputation of someone or something in the opinion of others. To sully. Our third word is apathetic. Now, this word derives from apathy, and I always get apathy and what's the other one? It's another short A word that I always get confused. I always confuse the two. And apathetic derives from apathy. Apathetic. Showing or feeling no interest, enthusiasm, or concern. Apathetic. Showing or feeling no interest, enthusiasm, or concern. Daft. Now, I'd like I like the people who are in love right now to pay real close attention to this definition, because at first it threw me off, but then I realized it played right into a theory a working theory that I have myself when it comes to love. Daft, silly, foolish, infatuated with. Now you hear that definition, right? Silly, foolish, infatuated with. So when I read those definitions, my mind was trying to reconcile, well, how does silly and foolish, the word that represents silly and foolish also represents infatuated with? But then it reminded me of a theory that I have, that when you're emotional, you don't make the best decisions. And when we're in love, which we're always being coaxed into by society, when we're in love, we're not thinking straight because we're emotional. We're being over emotional. So if you think of it from that perspective, which is also lends to why more than 50% of marriages end in divorce in this country. So the definition becomes clear to you of why daft is not only silly and foolish, but also has the other definition of to be infatuated with. Because infatuation is a form of being not only over emotional, but silly and, yes, foolish. It's not very intelligent. All right, moving right along. Prevaricate. Prevaricate. Now, the definition of prevaricate is to speak or act in an evasive way. Prevaricate. To speak or act in an evasive way. Our next word is parsimonious, and that means extreme unwillingness, to spend money or resources. Parsimonious, extreme unwillingness to spend money or resources. Our subsequent word after that is vituperative. Vituperative, and this word comes to us from a close friend of mine A friend of the show, he just wanted to throw it in there. Probably thought I needed to learn these words, and I appreciate him for it because I had never heard of these words before. And that's he gave me 2 words. I'm sorry, he gave me 2 words, and this would be the first of them. Vituperative, and vituperative means bitter. And are you serious? I've just gone brain. My mind just drew a blank. Bitter and abusive. Pardon me. Vituperative, bitter and abusive. Vituperative, bitter and abusive. The next word he sent me was solicitude. I'm thinking, wow, maybe it's another form of solitude. Maybe it's another way to say solitude. So I'm thinking that he sent me a word that I didn't even need to know, since I already knew the definition of solitude. But there's a reason why it's pronounced different. Solicitude. And solicitude means care or concern for someone or something. So it's the opposite of apathy, or pardon me, apathetic. Solicitude, care or concern for someone or something. Our next word, subsequent to that, pardon the redundant language. Our next word is, after solicitude comes, come on, solicitude, Mensa, an organization for people with high IQ. Mensa, an organization for people with high IQ. The next word I have following that is effusive or effusive. I didn't bother to look up the pronunciation of this word. For some reason, I just assumed that I should know it. Effusive. I think it's effusive or effusive. Tomato, tomato. I hope it's one of those deals. Effusive. Expressing feelings of gratitude, pleasure, or approval in an unrestrained or heartfelt manner. And you pardon the gender biased word manner there. In fact, please excuse any gender biased words that are in this video. I'm just trying to expand on my vocabulary here. I'm not the one who comes up with these words. So effusive, expressing feelings of gratitude, pleasure, or approval in an unrestrained or heartfelt manner. We have to do that again, just because I don't want to forget it that quick. I have to commit this word to memory. Effusive, expressing feelings of gratitude, pleasure, or approval in an unrestrained or heartfelt manner. Hopefully that was smoother. And last but not least, our bonus word of the week for this week is ensnare. Sounds silly. Sounds like it should be self-evident just by breaking the word down. But it's a word that I wanted to be sure that I knew the definition of. And the meaning of ensnare is to catch in or as in a trap. Ensnare, catch in or as in a trap. Okay, it's like waking up out of hypnotism. That's our words for our vocabulary words from the language of power this week. And as I said before, I'm your recovering idiot of a host, Jason V. Sareve, reminding you to continue to improve yourself, not only physically in terms of your health, but also mentally, because that's why and take advantage or utilize this beautiful tool that we have sitting between our ears while you can, because we don't get um, infinite use of it. Eventually, we only have so much time to live on the planet. So you want to take advantage, or not just before you die, but before the brain might deteriorate, before Alzheimer's, or the onset of Alzheimer's, or the onset of some debilitating mental disease. So you want to take advantage of the tools that nature endowed us with while they're usable. Um, yeah, I think that's all that's all I have for this week. So thank you for giving us your attention. I appreciate it. And like I said, continue to grow. It's all about self growth, self development. That's the very basis of life experience when it comes to living things. All right. So I'll talk to you next week for another installment of Say Word. Peace, be easy.